What's happening, Magnus? Haven't seen nerdrotic in a little bit. Check this out and laugh at the Acolyte. By the way, did you know that the lead actress deleted her Instagram? Many are saying that she couldn't take the backlash after Leslie Headland blamed the fans. So, it's one of those things where the director blamed fans. She had already did it. And then they rerouted to come back. And it was just like, boom, no, I can't. I can't deal with this. So she deleted her Instagram and is nowhere to be found. Many.
Are you nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, you millions of voices who suddenly cried out with glee when you found out the Acolyte was canceled. And the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. It's been a year and a half since the show whose pitch made Kathleen Kennedy cry was given the axe by Kathleen Kennedy. She combines her! Making 5s and 10s of the fans and thousands of content creators cry. Because, and this is a bit of a shocker, the Acolyte was actually too woke and cringe for Lucasfilm. Yet some people just can't let it go, including the Acolyte showrunner, former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein, Leslie Headland, who's come out of the woodwork to finally accept full responsibility for the show's failure. No, I'm just kidding. She blames YouTubers. Here we go.
Yep.
That's right. She blames YouTube commentary for shaping the conversation around the show that she made and leading to its cancellation.
Absolutely not. They were the ones putting out the different promotions, shaping what they wanted the Acolyte to be, what they believed it to be, and what it would usher in. And it's the best of this, and the fight scenes, and it's this, and it's that. No, it was just a bad series. Okay? That's the reason why it did bad.
Off to echo the sentiments of my fellow content creators, you're welcome. But in all seriousness, I wish we had that kind of power because Kurtzman Trek would no longer...
Yeah, I was just about to say, we don't have that type of power, okay? Like, no matter what anyone on YouTube says, if a product is good, it succeeds, okay? It just, and that's for the most part. We know all, once in a while, there's jewels out there of movies or shows or games or whatever. It's just somehow they didn't get the promotion or the push. They're actually excellent. And then sometimes something that's garbage actually makes money, and it's like, wait, what? But the majority of the time, good things prosper in entertainment. So you can't blame it on people not liking your product and voicing their opinions about it. On YouTube, No, absolutely not, because the majority of the world is not YouTubers and not on YouTube, even though YouTube is the biggest entertainment out there.
This Doctor Who might still be alive and the Rings of Power wouldn't happen. The fact of the matter is, since the Acolyte was announced back in 2020 and former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein, Leslie Headland, was attached, it was one of the most predictable failures in the history of predictable failures. And it became the symbol of Disney's Star Wars failures for a myriad of reasons, which we will get to. But first, let's hear what Leslie Headland has to say. Leslie Headland labels YouTube Star Wars commentators fascist and racist while discussing why the Acolyte was canceled. Now, she opens up with things like, I did start to feel that when my Star Wars show came out in 2024, I remember thinking, oh gosh, I wish it wasn't coming out in an election year. I think that's contributed to the move away for DEI hires. That's a neat rationalization, but in truth, it had nothing to do with it being an election year and had everything to do with shows like yours being the reason people are moving.
Yeah, it would have failed whether it was an election year or not.
Away from DEI hires because nobody's watching them, ergo, they're not making any money. Leslie also says that the Acolyte was always a major risk. Sure, in the sense that you decided to base a show in the failed High Republic storyline, which took the place of the highly popular expanded universe whose cancellation led to a lot of pissed off Star Wars fans. That's risky, but as far as taking a diverse female character and shoehorning her into a prequel of a beloved intellectual property to make her far more significant than the legacy characters, well, that's just a trope.
I've had an upgrade.
She also made excuses that she couldn't use things like politics, the Empire, or stormtroopers, but she did have Jedi.
She did.
To her credit, Leslie did say that any gripes creatively with the show are completely valid. Well, then I guess we're done here, because the vast majority of gripes, including mine, about the show were what happened within the show. That's people's reaction. It's usually their reaction to their own reaction.
What the f*** are you talking about?
Then Leslie undermines that statement with what comes next. When asked by The Wrap, what was the experience
I was going to say, show the Vogue.
The show not only get attacked, but weaponized by certain parts of the media. Oh, and as far as certain parts of the media weaponizing things, believe me, we'll get to that too. But first, let's hear from Ms. Headland. While claiming she was not online during the Acolyte discourse, she did reiterate once again that she was a Star Wars fan. Indeed, a fan of all the Star Wars.
So when people are like, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? I'm like, there is no Star Wars movie. There is only Star Wars.
Take this portrait of a single clown.
I am a Star Wars fan, which means I've always been, since the launch of the YouTube part of the Star Wars recap, criticism, lionization fandom community. These guys I've known for years and years. So when I got the information from others about what the weather report was, there was this real concern from friends of mine or co-workers of mine that saddened me. Well, what's happened to Star Wars has saddened me and so many others. I was also like, I know who these guys are. You don't have to tell me who's talking about it or how bad it is online. I know exactly who they are. I supported them on Patreon.
It's a total fabrication.
And this is the part about YouTubers that's making the rounds. There are some of them that I respect. There are some of them that I think are absolute snake oil salesmen, just opportunists, and you would know a thing or two about that. Then, of course, there are the fascists and the racists. Yep, that large contingent of fascist and racist Star Wars fans. I remember as a kid all the ones who were rooting for the Empire and hated Lando Calrissian. And then that next generation that hated Mace Windu. But you know, the only certifiable racist thing done to Star Wars was from Disney when they shrunk Finn on the poster for China. Something I was completely against, but now I'm for it, considering Finn actor Jonathan Boyega said this about the fandom.
Oh, yeah.
They're pandering.
Let me tell you, Star Wars always had the vibe of being in the most whitest elite space. Like, this franchise is so white that it's like a black person existing in that was something. And you can always tell it's something when some Star Wars fans try to say, well, we had Lando Calrissian and it had Samuel L. Jackson. It's like telling me how many cookie chips are on the cookie dough. I'm like, bro, they just scattered that in there, bro. They're okay with us playing the best friend. But once we touch their heroes, once we lead, once we trailblaze, it's like, oh my God, it's just a bit too much.
Enough is enough. I have had it with these mother snakes.
Anyway, so Leslie could...
Yeah, I mean, no. There's no problem with black characters leading and trailblazing. Okay, Blade did that. Blade is one of the favorites of all time. You know how fans of all color are chomping at the bit for Blade? Do you know how much we loved Mace Windu? And it was so damn cool to see him single-handedly defeat the Emperor by himself. You know what I'm saying? Lando helped destroy the Death Star. I told you they'd do it. I mean, come on. Nobody was complaining. It's the storytelling now and the heavy-handed politics. That's why they're all big pieces of trash.
Continues. So I think if you're in heart of the fandom, you understand the genre and the tone of particular channels and creators. Interesting, because I could say the same about certain activist creators who hitch their wagon to beloved. And
you know what it kind of reminds me of? You know what would be kind of a reverse thing of it? You know how years ago they whitewashed everybody. Native Americans were white, Egyptians were white, like just everyone was white. What if back then, when Native Americans were complaining, when black people were complaining, when everyone else was complaining about them whitewashing things, they said, no, you're fascists and you're racists. How would that have turned out? You know they would, and they didn't do that, okay? Not that I know of in entertainment history. They didn't do it. But it's interesting when they switch it and they now make established characters people of color when they weren't. People just want the characters that they grew up with. That's all they want. They're not racists or fascists. It's just like, well, this isn't him, okay? If you make Shang-Chi into a black man, but that's not Shang-Chi. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense to do that, just like it didn't make any sense to whitewash characters in the past. But for you to flip it and try to demonize the fans is absolutely ridiculous.
Intellectual properties in Hollywood. The content that is being put out by streamers or the studios, I'm glad you're calling it content because that's exactly what it is being snatched up by other creators. And so commentaries, synopsis, live videos, all of the ways these creators make money through viewer-based ad revenues and their Patreons. And there's a lot of money to be made. The typical deflection from calling us fascist and racist to grifters.
Yep.
Well, you caught me. Every weekend, I secretly break out my 4K Steelbox Acolyte and watch it. And I'm sure Leslie, just like the rest of us, waited in lines at midnight to watch The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and all the prequels. Sat by the radio every Sunday night to listen to the Star Wars radio show on NPR, waited by the mailbox for that next copy of Bantha Tracks.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I guess I'm not a super fan. I'd never wait in line like that overnight for anything. I got a buddy that did too. I forgot for what I forgot if it was a PlayStation or if it was a movie. I can't remember what it was, but he waited in line overnight for something.
I'm sure
Not me, baby.
A member of the Star Wars fan club did those extra chores to get that sweet Hoth playset, read Splinter the Mind's Eye 100 times over during that 3-year wait between Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, or listening to the Star Wars soundtrack so much your siblings wanted to murder you. And I'm sure every creator like Leslie hasn't used Star Wars as just an opportunity to put something else on their resume and use it as a platform for the message. Never happens. But then she goes on to say that the studios actually listen to YouTubers. But it revealed to me that there is a misunderstanding between the studios and that engagement. They think of it as fandom. And in a way, it is. But studios almost use it as a focus group. For one,
but they don't listen. They're still putting out the same garbage. So if they're using us as a focus group, why are they not listening? Why are they continuing to put? They're just trying to break our minds psychologically. They want us to have a psychic break to where we're just drooling, you know? I mean, what do they want to do? They want to keep losing money? You know, they should use us as a barometer in our videos as a barometer for things. But they don't. Even a compass. Which direction to go? I already know we've thought of stuff and said stuff that they've already put in movies. I already know it's already happened. You know what I'm saying? So, it's not a bad thing to do. We're part of the fandom. And we represent millions and millions and millions of people, okay? Because there's several channels that talk pop culture and entertainment like I do. And many of them are very much like myself. And many of them get millions upon millions of views every single month. That says something to these companies. They know that we feel the same way that millions of other fans feel. And there are fans that feel opposite of us. So then they have to figure it out, use us as a focus group, like she says, and figure out which direction to go. We've been telling them which direction to go, but they've been steadfast in going down a direction that we cannot follow. They've broken our hearts.
reason for the high engagement from all these content creators is because it is fandom, and studios would be smart to listen to them as a focus group because you're getting real-time, authentic opinions for the most part, and that studio should be thinking whatever god they worship, probably Moloch, that people still care. That's the narrative that studios are listening.
That's a conspiracy theory joke right there.
Content creators, or more importantly, the people in their comment sections in their chats, is preposterous. Because if they did, the Acolyte would have never been made and they would have saved hundreds of millions of dollars. But then Ms. Headland says something I completely agree with. It made me start to think that rather than these fans are toxic, we're getting there, or this thing is being mean to me, it made me think more that the content being made about Star Wars will ultimately be more culturally impactful than the actual Star Wars. And I think she's starting to get it, because the most interesting and engaging thing about Disney Star Wars is the conversation and discourse around it. It certainly isn't the stories. They range from boring to downright hateful to its own legacy and hateful to the fans. Lucasfilm and their willing and able comrades in the Access media have created this space through gaslighting the fandom to deflect from their own failures. Case in point, Moses Ingram with Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was warned she was going to get some clapback, and then magically they found 3 messages, which, wherever they're from, she shouldn't have gotten, but they decided to weave an entire narrative about it.
They're trying to help you prepare for this backlash, and there are people out there who say some really
She shouldn't have gotten. But they decided to weave an entire narrative about it.
They're trying to...
Yeah, because there's always going to be them. No matter what you do. There's always going to be them. It does not matter. However, that was not at all the major reason why it failed.
help you prepare for this backlash, and there are people out there who say some really awful things.
You know, they've been really great about connecting me with the people who've like been through this.
We stand with Moses. We love Moses, and if you're sending her bullying messages, you're no Star Wars fan in my mind.
The same thing happened with The Acolyte, with Leslie Headland taking a preemptive soft shot at the fandom 4 days before the damn thing came out. And that's because in both cases, Disney Lucasfilm knew they had a turd on their hands and they needed to shift the narrative and blame the customer, because that always works. That's Disney Lucasfilm and hell, Hollywood marketing 101. Create a victim, throw in some emotional blackmail, create the bad fan narrative, and then you have a bunch of people fighting for a bad show. And let's not forget, Leslie Headland personally invited some YouTubers over to visit at Lucasfilm, and some of the YouTubers pictured here were part of a campaign to get channels at Lucasfilm, and some of the YouTubers...
Wish they had invited me.
Pictured here were part of a campaign to get channels like yours truly, The Critical Drinker, Geeks and Gamers, and Ryan Kinnell's RK Outpost deplatformed.
Wow. Wait a minute.
A TV and Ryan Kinnell...
It's also wildly irresponsible to frame the Acolyte as being controversial when actually the subject of a month-long hate campaign that has just hate campaign. Oh my God.
Kinnell's RK Outpost deplatformed for criticizing a TV show.
Wow.
To YouTube's credit, they told him to pound sand, but you know what the solution is to shutting down your critics and winning over new fans? Making a good show. I don't hate to break this to you, but The Acolyte earned its 19% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, its 3.2 audience score on Metacritic, and its rather high 4.3 audience score on IMDb. And it earned its very unusually public cancellation by Disney. And why was it canceled? Because it cost too much money, not enough people watched it, and it was really bad. And you know whose responsibility that isn't?
Should have totally been around Smilo Ren. Everybody started to say that the further we got into it, everyone was saying like, yo, like, he's the most interesting character. And a lot of people thought that Saul was, and after time has passed, to me, Saul was a trash character. And after I saw what they did with Squid Game season 2, I see why he did this. I see he's on board with all the garbage. So it is what it is.
And the fans. Last time I checked, YouTubers didn't hire the former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein to head a Star Wars show and give her $230 million to write fan fiction. Content creators didn't greenlight a Star Wars show that was pitched as Frozen meets Kill Bill. We didn't come up with the scripts that were the writing equivalent to taking George Lucas's lore to Harvey's office, which included things like singing communist lesbian space witches, a fire in space, and this scene.
As he begins to untie a belted knot from around his waist, she straightens up for a better look. He begins to undress, revealing a prominent scar on his well-toned back. Dropping his billowy-legged Hakama pants, he steps forward with the sunlight accentuating his taut muscles.
YouTubers didn't hire a lead actor who could barely speak English or a lead actress to play two roles with one facial expression. I don't think the critical drinker told Leslie Headland's wife to go attack fans. It wasn't our decision to allow the adult pretenders to open their pie holes and say the dumbest things possible.
The best parts about Star Wars is there is no good or evil. Depends on what side you're standing on. Truly,
We have eyeliner on.
Star Wars is very like patriarchal, so it was kind of cool to have like this sort of woman-centered figure.
Yes.
And I don't see
yes.
Amanda Stenberg the idea once the criticism started dying down to fire it all up again by releasing a diss track against Star Wars fans. No, I'm not sorry to tell you that it was everybody involved in making this show, from Bob Iger to Kathleen Kennedy to Leslie Headland to Dave Filoni to the catering department, that made the Acolyte the cultural phenomenon it was in all the wrong ways, which ultimately became the culmination of all of Disney Star Wars failures, because if YouTubers had anything to do with it, season 2 would be in production right now, and I think I can speak for all of my fellow content creators sincerely. Renew the Acolyte. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard with this film, I thank you for watching this long. I will see you in the next video.
I tell you, there was a lot of content made around that. When there's something to talk about, whether it's good or bad, that's what keeps people going. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it was renewed for a second season. We laugh our ass off, and then we review it. And there'd be plenty and plenty of content. If it was great, that first season, if it was great, we would celebrate. And then there would be more videos of celebration and reviewing it and talking about how much we loved it. Okay? I love how people try to say that I grift, but I got more views when I loved the movies that were coming out. They're complete idiots. So, I told you, I think I have the stupidest, I'm not sure, but I think I have the stupidest haters online. I really do. But, it is what it is. So, post comments down below. Let me know what you all thought about this. Get over and follow the Nerdrotic. Tell them Tyrone Magnus sent you. 10 million subscribers. Woo!